feats. So I'll start with some of his worst ones, and then we'll eventually build up. So one of Lucifer's lesser feats was that he managed to kill Masubi without any of his powers, and Masubi actually trashed 100 angels, and Lucifer fucking violated her with none of his powers. He also managed to kill Fenris when he was weakened in power, but you have to keep in mind Fenris was also about to destroy Yggdrasil, and he also previously destroyed the throne of the presence, so that's arguably a pretty good feat. He also destroyed the Logos Tower, in which the tower, right, so the tower is actually the voice of God, and this same voice was managed to knock out Lucifer's brother Michael. But again, Michael never had his guard up, so it's a lesser impressive feat, but it's still a decent feat. So now we'll move on to some of Lucifer's more impressive feats. He's actually able to peak and persuade the outcome of the next god, and you can actually argue he was going to pick the next god of creation, which is fucking impressive. Lucifer was able to create his very own embodies of the endless within his own creation, but for this feat, right, you have to keep in mind that they're not the true forms of the endless, they're literally just embodies, so anyone who thinks that is just retarded. Now to move on to another impressive feat, that he was actually able to kill the presence. But within this fight with the presence, I think you all seen he used a very magical sword, which was the sword mainly killed the presence, so there's nothing to suggest that Lucifer's own power was the reason the presence was killed, but it was rather the sword. But this feat alone would scale him relative to the presence. Finally, Lucifer is consistently outside the presence's plan and hates predestination, as we consistently see. He literally, he also gave Gil the doll a knife larger than all of creation, which is everything from the source and below, so this would definitely scale him above the source. And she gave this knife to the presence, in which she used it to weigh the fate of creation. But before we end out, that's most of Lucifer's best feats, but before we end out, I'm just going to address a dream statement, right? So Dream stated that Lucifer was more powerful than him, but keep in mind this was only one of his embodies, and Dream's true self is easily above Lucifer, easily scales higher than Lucifer. So overall, right, Lucifer would scale above the source, but not to the level of the overvoid, but easily relative to the presence, as he states that Elaine was the power. No, Elaine was above the presence, right, and she had the power of God or creation, and Lucifer could quantify this same omnipotence. And if that's not enough, she can literally also hide power from the presence. So Lucifer would 100% be high outer, or high outer plus infinitely into high outer versal. But that's the Lucifer scaling, so I'm going to give you over to Honcho, and I'm going to let him get into the Chronicler.
Enjoyed the information from Sinaz. So to start off with the scaling for the Chronicler. So talking about the Chronicler is as easy as it gets, but I really love what they did on his appearance by them basically breaking down the cosmology about mainly this 5th dimension and 6th dimension thing, which I did in every DC video I published since. And you can check them from the playlist. From the Ultra Monitor matchups upward, where I explain the 5th and 6th dimension vividly. But let me further do this scaling on Chronicler as quickly as possible. To talk about the scaling, you have to go over Perpetua first. We do know that Perpetua and her kind was created to create creation on the greater omniverse, which is the overvoid. And we do know creation stays on the overvoid. The source gave her power to create everything in the universe, which that the universe ends at the source wall, literally, because the source is beyond it from the scans. And I have explained this severally in the past, which was when Perpetua got sealed and the source antimatter universe from the source, which actually contains the physical manifestation of the 5th dimension, where imps are from, and then the 6th dimension for Perpetua and her kids. And this birthed the Promethean galaxy, which is actually below the Aleph. So yes, like I said before, the source alone contains the Aleph, the 5th and the 6th dimensions, and possibly more. The Aleph one comes from Swamp Thing, and you can see the scans and reason in my Swamp Thing video. The presence created the source, and his children, which are Lucifer, Michael, and Gabriel, created the rest. The Chronicler has a job to record histories of dying multiverses and their infinite creations on the overvoid. The source is stated to be beyond Chronicler, and he agreed, but he is protected by the source while he works for the overvoid. Now, this statement of Perpetua stating she will attack the creators of the cosmic raptor when she comes back in the void could be interpreted in two ways. Which the void could be referring to the presence who stays in the void. His own void um, his own void is beyond his creation, of course, which has sub-creators, which includes Lucifer, Michael, Gabriel, and Perpetua. We will get back to this. The void of the presence isn't the overvoid, and if you still think the presence is the overvoid, then something is wrong with you, to be honest. And I explained how he isn't and how powerful the presence actually is in my presence video to details. If you say the void is the normal void where the presence actually stays in, which was shown in 2016 Lucifer, and he was getting revived in this cocoon looking thing, then it would be relating to the presence being the creator of the raptor, which is actually kind of accurate, or is the accurate one, because he actually created the source and others created in it. Perpetua and her children did come from the overvoid directly, and note that this hand you see here in this scan isn't the hand of the presence, which she used to create her children, as the context here shows she created by renting them from the overvoid, and she actually used her hand. That was her hand, not the presence, which has to do with the big hand theory in DC. So please try not to be retarded. The only contentious thing to that statement is the term them. So, like, how many creators are there? Are there going to be? How many creators are the presence? Like, that's weird. That could simply just be referring to people like actually the presence's children, since they unironically created the necessities within creation. Or you could ignore all these and say Redcon Corporation at the end, since she said at the end of the void, I guess. So, on which we can all peacefully agree she isn't fighting no one from that tier. In fact, she's almost very insignificant to them. Also, check my Milkman Superman video, which is the only scaling video for him on YouTube and very accurate. Now, Perpetua created 3 energies, which you can watch my videos to grasp them. While she created while she created children to create universes, destroy them, and take back the non-potential ones, which is all for the bleed tier. But they are more powerful than that, as they literally are from the 6th dimension existentially, and have to reduce their size and power even in the God sphere. The native God sphere is where like heaven and those other stuff is, but the God sphere extends to the Mantosphere. Not the native one, but to the point of Mantosphere. As you can see in the scans, right? The Warforger had to reduce his size, which is the same as the Chronicler. He had power of the source and also has power of one thing given to him by the Overvoid, which is his book, something Omniversa, which actually exceeds the power of the Book of Destiny, which is beyond the presence's plan, but not the true Book of Destiny. Check my endless video for the endless scaling. It will all be linked with the playlist. All these videos would be linked at once, so check them out. To finalize this, everything is clearly explained to be beliefs, and because of that, the multiverse won't die yet, which is all the collective unconscious and the dreaming, and this is all Hecate. Watch my DC videos to get the breakdown of everything. Don't mind the matchups. You don't have to agree with them. Just watch the scaling for each character, or the character you prefer, be Marvel or DC, to gain the knowledge. Other than that, the Chronicler would have a non-passive power of literally high autoversal, but in comparison to other top tiers, his main power is the source, which would be like Perpetua Pre-Crisis Energy Amps and Batman Manhattan Amp, which is like few layers into baseline high autoversal. Now for the King in Black. The thing is that I already have a Knull video, which I would link, and you have to watch the Gore video and the Knull video to understand everything, but I will brief up on Knull here and what basically is just happening. Knull currently shit on everyone and across creation, and his power could be felt across that. Now it's kind of linked that Knull is actually going to fight everyone, and we are getting this kind of theory of like Null eventually fighting Thanos, and like remember in Thor issue 7 where like Thanos came back with the dead with Sentry dead, and this Null most likely killed Sentry, but he did neg diff him, be it he killed him or not. Now his scaling has highs and lows because, like I said, lack of some information, and it's so impressive because he literally ripped Sentry apart from what I saw, and I think many people saw that, and took control of the void that stays in Sentry. That is sick because Sentry can literally match up powers of every mutant that got taken in the House of M issues that was shown in recent Venom the End, and Venom took on that same power, and then Null literally ripped Venom away from Eddie. Like the whole power of the mutants, which gets as high into Hell Traversal, is nothing to Null. I have a theory of Null being either Ginungaga, which is still extremely high, or the Far Shore, which is scaling from the first host of the Celestials, most likely it being them actually because he existed since the beginning of the universe, and then that means he would scale above even the first firmament, the birth transfinite eternity, and using the term transfinite for the first firmament is a freaking insult. Like the scaling is just abnormal. Literally, you have to also watch some of my Marvel videos. I don't want this video to be so long, but like the scaling is sick. You guys need to really catch up on some things, but I'll advise you to watch my Sentry videos. Any of the videos relating to Sentry on my channel, which are just 2, so watch them, and watch some other videos. Watch my Null and Gore video, my Thor videos as well. Null ranks above Celestials, which are arguably first hosts, and doesn't matter because each host is relative to the previous, and that's far short here, totally beyond Transfinite Eternity, right? And then like ripping Sentry apart alone is like more than Eternity tier, to be honest. Check my videos relating to Sentry, like I said. And like what makes it even more sick, because when they call Sentry literally one shot one of the Celestials that Null even revived and amped with his symbiote stuff, which is sick. Sentry literally one shot the Celestial. That's not new. He ripped Ares apart. Ares could challenge people like Hercules and Mikobashi, right? The scaling is just absurd. This is definitely peak high out of Verso, nearly boundless scaling. So like that's it, man. In my conclusion, right? I believe you've heard Jester's conclusion.
Yeah, that was a great scaling Honcho. I just like anyone who watched this who's competent enough and isn't a retard will know who wins this fight. And I'm sad to say it because I love Lucifer and Chronicler, but Null is going to fucking violate them. And like, if you disagree, we really want to see you join Honcho's server and debate this. We really want to see you like your standpoint on where Lucifer and Chronicler scales and why they would win this fight. But you know, at the end of the day, if you know how powerful the fucking Sentry is, especially when he's stable, if you know how powerful Celestials are, and like keep in mind, Null negged all, like Null fucking violated them. But again, like if you have concerns, you know, please join Honcho's server and debate this. But you know, that's all I've got to say on the matter.
Conclusion: no freaking one shots them, just utterly shits on them. And then if you want to debate us on this, you don't agree, but you have to go through a tournament, right? If you join the tournament only has slots of 10 for whoever is on the agreeing side and whoever is on the opposing side. If the team of the opposing side in the finals and the team of the opposing side wins, then whoever won would debate me or Snaz. But if you lose or the supporting against the supporting side, then there won't be any debate. So join the server, the link is down below, and come to join the tournament. And now I want to also address something that happened in the debate between me and this dude called Jester. And just check the comment section. I don't want to start talking, but check the comment section for exactly what happened. I would just put scans of... Okay, instead of this comment section, let me just address this real quick. So like we had the debate where I went to pray and also supposed to come back and give my conclusion for my character to win, and then I saw that I lost the debate even when I had 2 points lead and he had only 1 point, and even the 1 point he had was out of some weird verdicts from the judges. And then this how it went. He made a proposition that passive or non-passive hack, that Superboy Prime's passive hack surpasses the whole of Marvel, and then I told him that he showed up a scan where there are specific hacks that can hurt people that are stronger than a person. And then there are two contradictions here which I pointed out. And then the first one was that, one, in the scans they said that if someone is dimensionally more powerful than you, then you cannot do shit. And then two, even to his proposition where he's even trying to prove that Sentry needs a specific hacks to one-shot Marvel, already contradicts the fact that he's saying Sentry is stronger than Marvel, because he's already saying Marvel is stronger, so he needs a non-passive hacks, and which non-passive hacks are the best arguments you can make, because that's like being amped by someone stronger. And even as of that, if you're not being amped to the next tier, literally inaccessibly to the next year, then you're still going to lose. So his argument was very flawed there. I pointed this out, I proved the contradiction, and yet I still lost the point. And the judges gave no logical reasoning why. It made zero sense. So the debate was actually supposed to be 3 points lead and 0 for him. But even with the 1 point lead, I still had 2 points lead ahead of him, because I could prove the two things I was asked to prove to my propositions, and I did that perfectly with scans, right? So it's really absurd. If you heard anything about Jester winning me, please, that's a lie. That's a fat lie. You can see the scans. I said I wanted to go pray. I came back and I saw a verdict. Only, and even in the part of the cosmology, I totally trashed him. He didn't even understand what it quantifies to get to even higher universal or boundless. And then he said, please, you guys listen to this, that being an abstract concept means you are boundless, with very poor reasoning. And then he improved how, okay, if you're an abstract being, still how do you transcend infinite layer of universal to higher universal I leave transcendencies of hierarchies to get to boundless. DC doesn't have that yet, and then he couldn't prove it, but yet somehow I still lost. The point wasn't even concluded, so I was supposed to prove my cosmology, and yet I was still supposed to win that point, which is even supposed to be 3-1, and naturally even 4-0. I'm supposed to still come back and win by proving my character stronger, but I wasn't given the chance, which is just absurd. Though I cannot act like I didn't have some go off some tangent, like I was like trying to prove something for like 20 minutes, and I really couldn't, because still I wasn't given a chance. I would get cut off. And even as of then, when I was trying to prove that, that's when I see prove the cosmic tearing stuff for transcendences of out of versal, higher to versal, and boundless. He couldn't comprehend it. He didn't even know what the fifth dimension inherently was in DC, and how the planes of existence are. And then there are only 6 planes of existence, which none even gets boundless. Not even the overvoid is boundless. And anybody who wants to debate me on that can gladly come debate that. So please, if you hear such a thing, it's a lie. I didn't lose. That's just a ratty debate. And then it's trash. He got literally violated. Though I have to be honest, he is a decent debater, because he's like, I think, A class or S tier. So yeah, I cannot be losing to an A class. Worst comes to worst, I can, with bad judges, I will drag it out with an S tier, which is still not impressive. I'm above that as of now. So please, if you hear such a thing, that's a lie. You can see the evidence on the screen. And no hard feelings right now. Forgotten about it. I don't even care anymore. But just know the truth. Other than that,
Yeah, I just want to say, if you enjoyed this video, and like even if you found it controversial, even if it annoyed you, like 100% subscribe, because you're gonna see so many more versus battles that you'll agree with or you'll disagree with, and we definitely want to see you all in Honsho's server debating this. Tell us who you think wins and why you think somebody wins. But like, definitely, if you want to see more versus battles, and if you want to get better at scaling, especially Marvel and DC, 100% subscribe. And thanks for having me on, Honsho.
yeah, see you all next time.